seems like everyone is talking about protein these days, why it's important, what it does for the body, and how to get more in the diet.
You know, you're right, Michelle, but while everybody is talking about protein, they're not always saying things that are true.
Yeah, there's some common myths around protein that need to be debunked. So let's get to it.
Okay, here's the first myth. Eating too much protein is bad for you.
I've heard that one, usually in the context of high-protein diets with little regard to nutrition. While protein has many important benefits to the body, you certainly don't want to eat so much that it leaves little room for the other healthy foods in your diet. It's important to balance your protein with the other macronutrients, the good carbs and the healthy fats. And you also want to choose nutrient-dense proteins, so you don't pick up unwanted calories or fats along the way.
You know, that's right. A lot of people follow popular diets, but they forget all about nutrient density. Fatty meats like sausage or bacon, for example, may provide some protein, but they can also add a lot of extra calories and they're loaded with saturated fat. So it's better to have fish, poultry, lean meats, and plant proteins to keep your calorie and fat intake in check.
And in the same way, if you eat a lot more protein than you need, but you're not getting much exercise, you can actually gain body fat. It's not just the extra fats and sugars that you eat that make you gain weight. Extra calories from any source, even protein, will get stored as fat if you don't burn them off.
You know, that's such a good point, and it's very in line with our nutrition philosophy. So, speaking of exercise, here's our next myth. Eating more protein guarantees that you will build muscle.
While that's true that you need adequate protein in order to build muscle mass, simply eating more protein alone won't cause you to develop more muscles. You need to work out those muscles with resistance exercise. The process of muscle repair and growth occurs as your body recovers from a bout of exercise, and taking in about 20 grams of high-quality protein after a strength training workout is one of the best ways to promote muscle protein synthesis.
That's great advice, Michelle. I know a lot of people take protein shakes after their workout.
It's certainly convenient. I heard there's a myth that protein powders are not healthy.
Okay, so this myth may stem from the idea that protein-rich foods provide other nutrients that protein powders do not. But that isn't really a fair comparison because protein powders aren't really meant to completely replace healthy protein-rich foods, but they can be used to supplement your intake to help you meet your needs and goals.
True. Protein powders are concentrated sources of protein and are produced from a variety of sources, both plant and animal. Many provide somewhere in the range of 20 to 30 grams of protein per serving and are an easy way to incorporate high-quality protein into your diet.
Yeah, and they make it easy to track your intake too. So while it's important to include other sources of protein in your diet, such as fish, poultry, lean meat, and plant proteins like beans, lentils, and tofu, protein powders are a convenient way to add protein to lots of foods like smoothies or mixed into a recovery shake after a workout.
I like to add fruits and vegetables to my shake too.
Yeah, I do too. And the other thing I like about protein powders is that you can add them to lots of other foods like cooked cereals or soups or baked goods.
All right, speaking of that, our next myth is related to heat. Cooking and heating destroys protein.
Well, you can't cook the protein out of a food. And by the way, it doesn't matter if that food is an egg, a piece of chicken, or some protein powder that you bake into a muffin. So when proteins are cooked, they do change, but the protein isn't destroyed. When you cook an egg, the white becomes opaque and it becomes solid, and you certainly can't whip it, but the cooked egg has the same amount of protein as the raw egg. So if you're worried about destroying protein when you bake with your favorite protein powder, just know that you're getting the same amount of protein as if you toss that powder into a shake.
Right. Okay, Susan, I know you've heard this myth before. Older adults don't need as much protein as younger people do.
Yeah, more and more research is telling us that protein needs actually increase as people get older, and that older adults may need up to 1.5 times the recommended dietary allowance for protein. Because starting at about age 40, it's natural to begin to lose some muscle mass, and more importantly, as we age, our bodies are a bit less efficient at utilizing the protein we eat.
Great point. It's important that older adults consume enough protein to encourage muscle protein synthesis, and that they engage in regular resistance training exercise.
Okay, got another one, Michelle?
Yes, this is an interesting one. Protein is bad for your kidneys.
Okay, so the fact is, unless someone has impaired kidney function, a high-protein diet does not cause damage. One of the jobs of the kidneys, as you know, is to filter out unwanted waste products, including the nitrogen that comes from the breakdown of dietary protein. And a healthy kidney does a perfectly good job at getting rid of that extra nitrogen that results from the proteins that you eat. Remember to eat the amount that's right for you. Overeating any kind of substance does your body no favors.
Okay, got time for one more?
Of course, you bet.
You can't get enough protein on a vegetarian or vegan diet.
Yeah, we hear this one a lot. The image of bodybuilders consuming mounds of steak, eggs, and chicken has been around for so long that many people still believe that you can't build muscle if you don't eat animal protein.
Right, and there are plenty of vegetarian athletes who can prove it. A well-planned vegetarian or vegan diet can provide all the essential amino acids the body needs to promote muscle development. But well-planned is the key, since not all plant proteins are complete, meaning they don't contain all 9 essential amino acids. It's important to mix up your proteins to get the full complement.
Yeah, and that's why plant-based protein shakes, such as those made with soy, can be so convenient, and they're really nutritious ways to increase your protein intake, especially if you're on a vegetarian or a vegan diet. As long as you eat a wide variety of plant proteins, you can provide your body with the protein building blocks it needs.
Perfect. And I think that wraps up the protein myths for today.
Have you got more questions about protein? Go ahead and leave them in the comments and check out our next video on soy myths.
For more exclusive tips from our experts on nutrition, fitness, and wellness, subscribe to the Herbalife Nutrition channel.